my gosh!
Is this Freddy Fazbear?
What's good on the bucket? It's Tom. Welcome back to another video, y'all. Today we are reacting to the Game Theory FNAF Ultimate Timeline. Shout out to matpat and Game Theory, bro. I'm a rather new fan. I've been a fan of FNAF for a little bit, but I've never played the games. I don't understand the full story, bro. All I know is there's like 5 kids and a birthday. Bro. It's all over the place, bro.
Today we end the torment.
Okay.
19 books, 11 games, 8 whole years, all leading to this moment. The
8 years is
FNAF
crazy.
timeline is finally complete. The pieces are in place for us. Now all we have to do is put this story of tragedy, jealousy, and loss.
I know there's a lot of stuff to do, like in FNAF,
Internet.
the story,
Welcome
bro.
to Game Theory, the show that feels like a kid revealing the
By the way,
classic
if y'all want to watch me play FNAF, bro, leave a like.
that he's been working on all year. Except here, it's the class project that I've been working on for the past decade of my life.
Yeah, doesn't he have like over 100 FNAF videos?
Kind of nervous. I haven't attempted a timeline video on this franchise since 2018. Back in the days
Whoa.
when Mike was the crying child, Afton coming back was actually a surprise, and Fazgoo wasn't a phrase I'd ever thought I'd have to utter.
That's one thing I
Since
do
last time
remember.
I did something
I
this,
remember,
we've had
like,
3 more massive games,
4
a death
and later, bro.
revival of the FNAF movie, and more robot
Like
kids
before,
that you
like
can
the
shake
first
a stat
1 to
bot
4.
at. It is exhausting trying
Like
to
the
keep track
story
of this whole
between
franchise, which
from
honestly
4 to
is why
on,
I'm
bro,
here today.
it's confusing.
The lore at this point
Like,
is
what does security breach do? I don't-
complicated. It is full of speculation and theory. So to hopefully make it a little easier for everyone and to give us all a baseline to talk about this franchise moving forward into the future, it's time to reveal my current working FNAF timeline. But
Okay,
just before
okay.
I do, I just want to explain a couple of things. First, this timeline is massive. Seriously, it is huge. This
Dang.
thing towers over any video project we have ever done on the channel. But when you
For
look
real?
at the totality of this franchise, the story of FNAF really boils down to the story of one man, William Afton. His
Okay, I know
successes,
William
his
Afton,
failures,
the
his
purple
rise
guy.
to becoming co-owner
I
of
know
one of
that
the most
part.
successful restaurant franchises in the world, and his eventual fall to the monsters he helped to create, only to then be reborn in a new digital form
And then
later. That's
I remember the
decided to
glitch
split
trap
this
thing, 'cause
timeline
that
into
was a
3
huge
main
thing, too.
chunks. The foundation of Freddy's, how the business started,
But
and how it
for the
came to
most
be,
part, I'm
the
like
Afton
out of the
era,
blue.
William's decades-long murder spree, and post-Purple Guy. Basically modern FNAF. Everything that happens after the pizzeria simulator fire. And because there are lots of new big revelations
What is the pizzeria
in this thing that
si-
seemingly
Oh, I
come
can't
out
even
of
speak, bro.
nowhere, as well as just points I want to talk about further, I decided to dedicate 1 episode to each chunk. I originally wanted it to be one seamless, continuous video, but it just felt incomplete without some sort of explanation at the end of each one. Once this whole thing's done, I promise I'm gonna merge all the narrative bits into one massive video so you can just skip my explanations. But for now, this just felt like the best, most satisfying,
Is this what the
complete
video
way
is
to
right
do
here?
this. That being said, this
Like
is
the final
still
version?
about the story, the broad strokes of the franchise. So in order to make
Pause.
sure that you guys know that I'm not just pulling answers out of thin air, not only am I discussing some of the more controversial bits at the end of each chunk, we're also putting in a handy little graphic in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, which will show thumbnails, video titles, books, and any other citations that we need throughout the video. So if you wish to
Okay.
understand that specific statement in more detail, you know exactly where we've taken it from. That way
Okay,
you can look at
okay.
those details
That's
for
nice to
yourself.
know. That's
So
nice to
sit
know.
back,
Doing
grab
his
some
research.
popcorn or your pitchforks if you're the type to get upset when I say something controversial, and make sure that you subscribe, since this is going to be a video that you're going to want to come back to a few times in order to fully dissect.
Hey, bro, just
Without
like he
any
said,
more
y'all, go ahead and subscribe.
waiting, I present to you the story of a loving, obsessive father who slowly descended into madness, and along the way discovered the
Dang.
secret to eternal life.
Eternal life is crazy.
Our story begins not in the 1980s, or even in the 1970s, but all the way back in the 1930s. It was the throes of the Great Depression, and people were in desperate need of cheap
Old.
entertainment, especially in Utah, one of the states hit hardest, 4th highest unemployment in the nation, and full of transients. People looking for work in Salt Lake, finding none, and ultimately moving on to find their fortunes out in California. People were tired and they were hungry, but as they traveled, there was
Struggling,
one
man.
thing that could lift their spirits.
In the
A
trenches.
simple roadside attraction called Fredbear's Singin' Show. The ads were plastered all over town, featuring an animated bear drawn in the popular pie-eyed cartoon style for characters at the time. He resembled cartoons like Mickey Mouse, Felix the Cat, Betty Boop. It immediately said that this, Fredbear's, was a place where you could
I wonder what
that
that was like a popular eye choice
honestly
back
couldn't
then,
be
bro.
beat. For 50 cents, you could get food and
Like, why not just, like,
entertainment as
solid,
watched
you know
the
what I mean?
local trained real-life dancing bear perform on stage. Normally, you only got to see dancing bears at large traveling circuses like Barnum and Bailey, where the tickets would go for about $1. That's $1 without about food. But this was a small
dollar?
show, like the type
I can't
from the
afford
Von
that, bro.
Brothers or the Robbins brothers, where tickets would sell for just a mere 50 cents. Watching that bear do tricks on stage brought a glimmer of joy at a time when so much was wrong with the world. The simple show would go on for years.
So it started from like
hundreds of travelers passing through looking for
basic
quick meal,
bear
but it
show?
left a permanent impression on one little boy, capturing his imagination in a way that nothing else had. One little boy named Billy. That was his nickname at least, but his parents liked to call him William. William Afton. The bear could dance. It could sing. For decades, William dreamed of recreating that moment of bringing a musical bear to life, but how? William was smart, without a doubt, and he had a keen mind for business, but he wasn't the most
he was
creative.
cooking, huh?
How do you make a singing, dancing bear come to life? The best he could do was using rudimentary costumes. William was inspired by the work of Walt Disney, who throughout the 50s and 60s was pioneering the use of mascot suits throughout his theme park. The big innovation? Suits with 5 fingers. This allowed the performers wearing the suits to use their
Walt
natural
Disney
arms
suits be
and
going
hands
crazy,
to interact
though.
with the guests, as opposed to the older models where the arms would just hang limply by their sides. Finally, with a simple mascot suit, he would be able to realize his childhood dream. He would be able to bring Fredbear to life. To appeal to the kids, and for copyright reasons, he changed Fredbear from a realistic brown animal to a cartoonish yellow bear with a purple hat and bow tie. But feeling like one
So is
character wasn't
Fredbear-
enough, he added another friend.
Is
a
Fredbear
yellow
Golden
rabbit
Freddy?
with
Is
a
it?
purple vest and matching tie.
I know y'all probably gonna
named
roast me
Bonnie
for
the
that in the
bunny.
comments.
Well, Fredbear was certainly his first love. Bonnie was extra special because that was his. It was an original character that he had created from scratch. And I do mean scratch. William's hand-sewn costumes were rough, with seams and stitches visibly showing, but it was the best that he could do. And you know what? It was just enough. Bonnie and Fredbear
it's
would
cool,
perform
though. I
on
mean, he
stage
tried
to
his
small
hardest.
but enthusiastic crowds. Finally, he was able to deliver fantasy and fun to all the kids, delighting and inspiring them in the exact way that he had been delighted and inspired so many years ago. And things could have ended there. That could have been the end to his story. It could have been perfect had it not been for one thing. Other people saw the success of his idea and they wanted in. Enter Chica's Party World.
Whenever there's a
rival
huge,
restaurant starring
whenever there's a huge thing happening, bro, everybody likes to copy.
performing animal characters. His idea, except they did it better. William may have been the first, but obviously he wasn't the best. It hurt the prideful William Afton to admit it, but this restaurant was able to do the thing that he always wanted to do: make the animals actually come to life. All of the performers in this restaurant were robots, simple metal skeletons that were powered by battery packs, but all of them able to freely turn and talk and dance on their own, no human required. It was like magic that came from the mind of a brilliant creator named Henry Emily. This Henry,
okay.
in some small way, had been able to harness the power of life itself. Afton admired him. He was jealous, to be
He
sure.
was like,
but he also
animatronics,
looked upon
bro.
this man with awe. Off to one side of Chica's party,
Henry
world
was
was
cool
a
at
small
with
collaboration
robotics
stage
then.
featuring an elephant magician. On the other, a hippo known to ramble on and on. Now,
I'm sorry, real quick. I gotta set my desk down, y'all.
the main stage that was for the kids. A rocking band of characters featuring a yellow chicken thing with a southern drawl named Chica,
Oh my
backed by a band
gosh.
of other country-themed characters, including a pig with a banjo, an upbeat frog from the local swimming
Okay.
hole, and a brown bear with a heavy southern accent. Wait, a bear? But bears were his animals. Why not a cow or a
Right.
horse? Something to fit
He
the country
copied
theme
him.
a bit better. Why did it have to be a bear? And adding insult to injury, they had the nerve to
He got the
call
hat
this
and
thing
everything.
Ned Bear, a direct copy of his own Fredbear.
Whoops, that's gonna leave a mark.
That's
No,
crazy.
that was not okay. Afton's jealous admiration turned to hardened bitterness.
That is crazy.
A
He
bitterness
stole
that would
his
only
idea.
grow over the next couple of years as families continued to choose Chica's Party World over Fredbear's. William just couldn't compete with the appeal of the robots. Eventually, his restaurant would go bankrupt, only to get bailed out by, of course, Henry Emily. Another insult, another humiliation that William would
What?
soon forget. 1979.
How your op
Despite
gonna
being
help
bitter,
you
Afton
out,
couldn't
bro?
deny that what came next was a period of massive success and expansion. With the two franchises now merged into one, it was the best of both worlds. Afton's ideas with Henry's robotic expertise. The two men decided to launch under a new name, Fredbear's Family Diner, a pizza chain that would eventually come to feature a mix of humans in performing suits as well as on-stage animatronics. They
Okay.
decided to stick with Fredbear as the headliner, considering the yellow bear was easily identifiable as a brand
Make-
because
that
he
makes
was
sense,
the
that makes
original
sense.
performing animal mascot.
OG.
This new restaurant would also see a mix of characters as the two franchises merged into one, with Pig Patch and Happy Frog performing right alongside Fredbear and Bonnie. And as part of this one big Fredbear family, they even got themselves official merch that were released, ranging from masks to magnets.
See, okay, look, let me go back. I'm sorry, y'all.
They
I'm sorry.
even got themselves official merch.
I remember this back when, yeah, this is Five Nights at Freddy's 3, bro. I remember like the party, and like there was a huge theory that like Somebody got set free or something. I don't even know, bro.
That were released, ranging from masks to magnets.
The crappy Mr. Hippo fridge magnet?
That said, not all the characters were winners. The reception to some characters was just mediocre, so they faded away into the dumpster, storage units, and retro budget tech stores of lost nostalgia, waiting for their chance to step back into the limelight if and when a headliner went out of commission. Others, though, would fare much better, like a new Pirate Fox, as well as a blue guitar-playing variant of the yellow Bonnie Bunny. Ultimately, the franchise would get so big, it would spawn its own cartoon show, Fredbear
when I was younger,
Friends. Business was booming. In the end,
when I was younger, Bonnie used to give me nightmares, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like the FNAF 1 Bonnie, bro, used to straight give me nightmares, man. Like,
and Fredbear and Bonnie's popularity would be so strong that they would be able to support the Fredbear's Family Diner franchise all on their own, while also spinning off a new sister location dedicated to their friends. In 1983, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza launched, giving a dedicated home to all this new supporting cast of characters: Chica the Chicken, Bonnie the Blue Bunny, Foxy the Pirate, and of course the headliner, a brown Freddy Fazbear. Business was good, and Afton was happy.
Business booming.
Mostly. It did bother him that the one original character that he created, the one that he himself played, Golden Bonnie, got passed over for inclusion in that cartoon show. The only character in the roster of regulars to get ignored for the show, but other than that, things were going smoothly. He had himself a wife.
Yeah, you got a wife and kids, bro. Money.
Business. And best of all, he was able to learn the craft of robotics from the man that he both loved and hated, Henry. Together, they were constantly pushing the limits of what these characters could do. Because it was
they had
easy,
a straight
new
love-hate
characters introduced into
relationship,
the
bro.
roster would be given a simple hand-sewn suit with 5 fingers that any performer could wear. Eventually, Henry would design one of his signature animatronics for that character, utilizing a divided mouth with either a hinged or sliding jaw design. This was the first generation of animatronics. But why stop there? Afton had big ideas. What if the animatronics weren't just locked to the stage, but could freely roam the restaurant and interact with the kids? What if his mascot suits could become animatronics? What if you could use more than just rigid metallic skeletons? Why not experiment with tubes and wires that would give the animatronics fluidity and flexibility while still providing structure? The possibilities for this technology were
That's so
endless.
weird, bro.
Afton fell in love with robotics. He had started with a dream of bringing one simple singing bear to life, but with robots, he had stumbled across the tools that gave him the ability to control life itself. And thanks to Henry, he was practically speedrunning his way to an engineering degree. And while William wouldn't admit it out loud, one other thing that kept pushing him forward was the desire to beat his former rival, to prove himself smarter and more capable, to surpass the man who everyone else considered to be a visionary genius. But pride cometh before the fall, and tragedy was about to strike. Okay, so that brings us to the end of part 1 of the story. That said, at the end of each of these chunks, I want to break down some of the logical leaps that I made, since the more narrative format doesn't give me much of a chance to justify a lot of the big decisions. And admittedly, there are some large leaps in here. Let's just start off with
this is part
Fredbear's
1, okay,
show,
cool.
shall we? We know, based on the retro poster that was hidden in Security Breach, that at least at one point, Fredbear was an actual bear.
Yeah,
and like
okay,
I called out in that
facts.
narrative segment, dancing bear shows were a real form of
I'm actually
entertainment.
surprised
The
about
only
that.
problem is that, timing-wise, none of our main characters would be the people in charge of that business in the 30s and a series of pizza restaurants in the 80s without them just being extremely old. Best case scenario, if Afton's running the singing show when he's 18, that still puts him at nearly 70 when the first pizzeria opens and his murder spree begins.
Dang.
It just doesn't make a lot
Imagine
of
being
logical
70
sense
murdering
because he
people,
doesn't
bro.
become immortal until his first death in spring.
Wow, why would you even do
That's
that?
why I suspect that Fredbear's Singing Show was either a family business that Afton then carried on to a new generation, or something that he saw as a kid and just wanted to recreate when he grew up. The Fredbear Singing Show thing also starts laying the groundwork for some of the core elements of the story, that Freddy's was a place of fantasy and fun, and that Afton, despite eventually falling to become the heartless serial killer and mad scientist that we know him as, began as someone with good intentions and a love of entertaining kids. He wanted to bring things to life from the very beginning, a theme that recurs a lot for him throughout the rest of the franchise. Next up, let's talk about those mascot costumes. One thing that I keep going back to is the design of Glitch Trap. It's a handcrafted suit. You can see
that's
the
Glitch
seams
Trap.
and everything. It even has 5 fingers for the performer's hands. It is very much not a spring trap.
Yeah, it's not
This
the
is
same
something
thing.
much more rudimentary. It came at a time before animatronics.
I remember the
were a
spring
part of
trap
the
thing,
sport.
'cause that's how he
why I
ended up,
suspect that it was
getting
actually
turned
the
into,
first, predating literally
Springtrap,
everything.
yeah.
It's also something that's
Obviously.
very personal to Afton. He put his digital consciousness in that form. It's his
Okay.
personal avatar. It's the way that he sees himself. There's also a whole separate discussion to be had here about the habits and rituals of serial killers. So the fact that he's choosing to lure kids and kill them in
Bruh.
particular suit actually says a lot about his emotional attachment to it. So while Fredbear seems to have started as someone else's creation, Golden Bonnie was uniquely Williams, giving him a personal connection. And that's not all. In this whole franchise, only one set of characters have themselves 5 fingers, the Nightmares. Even Golden Freddy, Fredbear was a 5-fingered wearable suit at one point in the story, as we see in this.
So is Golden Freddy Fredbear?
Before
I'm
he, like
confused on
everyone
that
else,
part.
was turned into
What is Golden Freddy?
This seems to imply that all of the main characters had similar wearable mascot outfits.
What is Golden
at
Freddy,
one
bro?
point in time, and that whoever is having the FNAF 4 nightmares, if they even are nightmares, something that we'll touch on in part 2, saw those mascot suits specifically. Lastly, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The literal elephant, Orville Elephant, as well as the rest of the mediocre melodies. For a while now,
Mediocre
I've suspected
melodies
that the
is
mediocre
crazy.
melodies played a much more important role in the story than just being a bunch more animatronics to fill out the roster. Especially Nedbear, which is just so suspiciously close to Fredbear. And yet, there are 2 key details that we're gonna have to justify with any mediocre melodies mention. One, they're very rudimentary with external battery packs, implying that they come very early in the timeline. And 2, we know that at minimum, Mr. Hippo does eventually become an official member of the extended Freddyverse. But if these
For
things
real?
are supposed to be cheap,
Wait, that isn't that
generic
security
rip-off,
breach? Wait. Oh my gosh, bro! I accidentally kicked off the video, y'all. Give me 1 second. So this right here, this is security breach, bro. Watching like the trailer, like, and I've seen a couple of people like play it a little bit. When does he show up? When is he in security breach? Am I just missing something? Maybe I need to play the game, bro. If y'all want to see me play security breach, go ahead and leave a like, y'all.
Freddyverse. But if these things are supposed to be cheap, generic rip-offs, why would you be trying to rip off yourself? You wouldn't. You would be stealing someone else's ideas. So if Afton created Fredbear, there would have to be some rival franchise. The only other person who would likely be ripping him off? Henry. We've talked extensively about how the mediocre melodies are clearly Henry's
Imagine
design
stealing
aesthetic.
somebody
So it
else's
just
stuff,
has
bro.
to be him. I don't think Henry was doing this maliciously. He doesn't strike me as the type. He was likely building the robots at the orders of someone else that was running a rival restaurant franchise. But that's enough motivation to start Afton down a path of jealous rivalry, but also begrudging admiration. As the Freddy Files Ultimate Edition says, it's important to revisit the beginning of Henry and William's relationship, so here you go. I think this is where it begins. Also,
You can't
this
be
is Mr.
mad. You
Matt
can't be
Pat here,
mad.
back to add this one in. Seems like the recently released character encyclopedia has backed up all of this speculation. I've had this timeline written for about a month now, but I've also been holding off a bit to see what wrenches this character encyclopedia might throw into it. And on this particular point, I gotta say, it seems like we might actually have nailed it. They actively call out the suspicious similarities to the main Fredbear crew. Quote from one of the pages: Nedbear looks like an imitation, altered just enough to avoid copyright issues. I don't know about you, but that seems to imply
That
that
makes
we were
sense.
right
That
on
makes
money.
sense.
Knowing all of this, at one point the franchises had to have merged. That's really the only way that you get Mr. Hippo from the rival franchise as part of the Fazbear crew. This also mirrors a lot of what happened in
Facts.
the real-life history of Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E.
with two
Cheese,
rival
yep.
restaurants, each with their own casts of characters, merging
I do
to
know
become
this
one
backstory
unified brand.
of the
Again,
real
we've
life
gone
Chuck E.
into that in
Cheese.
detail with other videos, just wanted to remind you all of that here. But why would I call out the rival restaurant as being
I remember
named
that.
Chica's Party World? Few things actually. First, we know for a fact that a location named Chica's Party
That scared
World
the shit. I'm not gonna lie,
exists. It
that
is
low-key scared
mentioned
me.
in the source code teasing sister location, so it is out there somewhere and doesn't fit cleanly anywhere. Second, in the story The Puppet Carver, Chica is very explicitly looped in with the book versions of Pig Patch and Nedbear, implying that she started as a mediocre melody. Thirdly, her design
That kinda
fits
makes sense,
better with
though,
the theme of
'cause they're
down
all,
home
like,
country
farm
with
animals.
southern accents, playing the banjo and eating with bibs. And with her being the headliner of the show with her name on the restaurant, it would make sense then
That makes
when the
sense.
restaurants merged, she was the one that was added to the main cast of characters while all the other mediocres faded away. It's also why when Freddy's closes after William's killing spree, she's the one to branch back off into her old franchise and is therefore missing in sister location. A detail that's bothered me for years at
okay.
this
Yeah,
point. It might
okay.
also explain why William decided to stuff his first dead kid into Chica. That one was Henry's creation, not his. Is all of this a big leap? Yeah. Is it
Did he? Was that a thing? I thought he showed like the dead kid inside of Freddy, bro. Like, I guess I'm not sure
connecting
actually.
A lot of dots that are very spread
If it's in
out
Chica,
across
that's
the
crazy. I
franchise
never
that
knew
I've
that.
been holding
I
on
actually
to
never
in
knew
my
that.
mind for years. Absolutely. But I think it makes sense. It also serves as a clean answer.
Bro, this
to a
dude
lot of
William
random
is
threads
nuts,
that
dog.
Scott's been leaving dangling for years. So with all of that in mind, my friends, we can close the book on the foundation of Freddy's. And don't worry, next week I'll be back to give you arguably one of the most confusing parts of this entire timeline situation. Part 2, the Afton era. I promise.
Part
it
2.
will actually
Leave a
be
like
next
if y'all
week.
want part 2, bro.
No more waiting around. I am just just as eager to get this one out the door as you are to watch it. I promise. You know what else I promise? I promise that we'll actually get to talking about the games. I would have liked to have talked about them in this episode, but there just isn't that much in the games that helps us depict anything pre-Family Diner. Although, let's be honest, this franchise has never been just about the games.
I don't really know.
Even back in the early days of FNAF, we were decoding images and source code that Scott fed us through the website. The modern day books and the clues that we get from those things, now they're just modern extensions of that. All of it is crucial to understanding this franchise and its lore. Unless, of course, Steel Wool finally gets around to making that Fredbear's Family Diner game they want to make so badly.
I've always would love to do is get kind of back to.
So they're gonna make an OG game?
Getting back to kind of like the origin of like Fazbear Entertainment or the origin of Freddy Fazbear.
Okay.
But in the meantime, while we wait for that inevitably cryptic game,
If they cook that, bro, that's gonna be gas.
Fill in some of those gaps. I'm excited to share part 2 with you next week. If you haven't
All right.
subscribed and rang the bell, make sure you do it now.
Yeah, bro. As he's saying, go ahead, subscribe, leave a like, bro.
Okay.
If y'all enjoyed this reaction, let me know that in the comments. If y'all want to see me play some of the games, I've never played them before, let me know that in the comments and leave a like. FNAF story is interesting, bro. As I said, I've only kept up with like, I only really know kind of what happens between like the first game and the fourth one, and even then it's still all over the place. And from what I've known, it gets even more crazy like as the games go on, bro. So I'm like, I don't understand. We can keep watching these if y'all really want me to. If y'all messing with this video, we really can, bro. So yeah, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching. Love you guys. Share the channel around if you haven't, bro. And yeah, love you guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace.